The alien queen had a reputation written in fear. Every servant on her massive royal ship knew one rule: never make a mistake, because a mistake meant death. Queen Janitor did not shout, she did not warn, she did not forgive. She simply ended lives the moment her patience broke. In the last 3 weeks, she had killed 37 servants. Some for dropping items, some for walking too slow, some for looking directly at her eyes. No one lasted long near her. The palace halls always smelled of metal and fear. Into this nightmare world arrived Eli Ward, a human janitor. He was thin, tired, and carried nothing but a mop, a small cleaning drone, and an old backpack with one broken strap. He was brought in because humans were seen as harmless, obedient, and cheap. Aliens believed humans did not fight back. They believed humans bent easily. Eli just wanted to clean floors, finish his shift, and go home one day, if that was ever possible. But that morning, everything changed. Queen Janitor stood in her throne chamber, dressed in black armor that glowed with violet energy. A servant beside her held a ceremonial necklace, a priceless royal item. His hands shook, one small tremble, and the necklace slipped from his fingers. It hit the floor. Everyone in the hall felt the same jolt of terror. The servant fell to his knees, begging silently, but the queen didn't care. Her eyes flashed like lightning, and with a single gesture, the servant collapsed, lifeless. The chamber went silent. Guards stepped back. Advisors looked away. No one dared breathe. Then the queen's gaze slowly moved toward Eli. He had just arrived with his mop cart. Wrong place. Wrong time. You, she said, pointing at the pool of blood spreading across the polished floor. Human. Clean it. Every alien in the room stared at him. They waited for the human to shake, kneel, or apologize. They expected him to obey, like every servant before him. But Eli looked at the blood, then at the queen, and then he said one single word that froze the entire ship. No. It was soft, calm, not brave, just honest. Every guard's hand moved to their weapon. The queen stepped closer. Her height doubled his. Her armor hummed with deadly power. The air around her felt sharp, like invisible knives. Repeat that, she said. Eli swallowed but did not lower his eyes. I said no. I won't clean blood in them all. Silence spread across the hall like smoke. For 20 long years, no one had refused her. No servant had dared speak against her and survived. Everyone waited to see his body fall. But instead, something impossible happened. The queen smiled. It was small, slow, and dangerously curious, like a predator seeing something new. You, she whispered, are not like the others. Her energy dimmed. Her claws lowered. And then she said a sentence that shook every person in the chamber. You may live. Eli stood still, confused. No one understood why the queen spared him. Not even the queen herself. But this human janitor had just done something no alien dared. He told the queen no, and survived. And that was the moment everything began to change. After the moment Eli said no and lived, the entire royal ship changed. Whispers followed him everywhere he walked. Guards stared at him with confusion. Servants hid behind doors when he passed, unsure if he was lucky or cursed. No one understood what the queen wanted from him. Not even Eli. He only knew one thing. The queen did not kill him, and that made him dangerous in the eyes of everyone else. The next morning, he was ordered to report to the obsidian throne hall again. His hands felt cold as he pushed his cleaning cart through the long corridors. The walls were black metal, glowing with violet lines like veins. Everything looked alive and watching. When he entered the hall, Queen Janitor stood waiting. She didn't shout. She didn't threaten him. She simply looked at him with those bright violet eyes that had seen more death than any queen in her empire's history. You refused me yesterday, she said calmly. Now I want to see what you are. Eli didn't understand. What do you mean, Your Majesty? The queen raised her hand. A giant metal door opened beside her, and a broken cleaning droid rolled out. It sparked weakly, parts hanging loose. Fix it, she ordered. Eli blinked. I'm a janitor, not a mechanic. Her eyes narrowed. Fix it. Everyone watching waited for him to die again. But Eli knelt. opened the droid's back panel, and began working. His fingers moved fast, surprisingly confident. He had repaired old machines in human factories back on Earth. This one was alien, yes, but machines had patterns, wires, power cells, logic cores. He followed the signs. 5 minutes later, the droid stood up straight, working perfectly. The whole gasped. The Queen raised a brow. Interesting. But the test wasn't over. She walked down the steps of her throne. Every step echoed like thunder. She stopped only a few feet from him. "Why did you say no yesterday?" she asked. Eli held his breath, thinking. The Queen wasn't asking like a ruler. She was asking like someone who didn't understand humans at all. "Because I didn't want to clean blood," he said honestly. "It felt wrong." "Wrong." The Queen repeated the word like it was something new. He nodded. People shouldn't die for small mistakes. For a moment, she just stared at him, silent, her expression unreadable. Then she turned away. "Follow me." He followed her through a private corridor. The guards looked terrified to see him walking so close beside her. Some even stepped back, some because of the Queen, but many because of him, a human who could say no. She led him into a training room. "Stand there," she said. Eli obeyed. A metal sphere floated from the ceiling. Suddenly, it fired a bright shot straight at him. Eli jumped aside, barely avoiding it. "The test," the Queen said coldly, "is simple. Survive." The sphere fired again. And again. Eli ducked, rolled, sprinted behind cover. His heart hammered. His breath burned. Every shot could kill him instantly. Yet the Queen only watched, studying him. Why a human janitor? Why spare him? Why test him? Meanwhile, above them, hidden behind tinted glass, two alien nobles watched the scene with angry eyes. "If she likes a human," one whispered, "we must kill him." Below them, Eli kept dodging, and the Queen kept watching. Her eyes were no longer cruel. They were curious, as if she had finally found something she thought never existed, a human who was not afraid of her. For 3 long days, the Queen tested Eli in ways no servant had ever survived. He fixed machines, he dodged training drones, he walked beside her during royal inspections. Sometimes she ignored him completely. Sometimes she watched him so closely it felt like her eyes were touching his thoughts. But one thing confused him most. She never killed anyone again. Not in those 3 days. Servants whispered that the human was a shield. Guards whispered that the Queen was studying him. Nobles whispered that something was wrong with her. Eli didn't care about rumors. He only cared about understanding why the Queen, who murdered so easily, spared him. He got his answer on the 4th night. The Queen summoned him to her private chamber. No guards, no nobles, no advisors, just her and him. The room was quiet, lit by soft purple light. The air smelled like strange alien flowers. But Eli noticed something unusual. Shadows trembled around the Queen, almost like living smoke. She sat on a crystalline chair and looked tired, truly tired for the first time. "You want to know," she said, "why I kill so many?" Eli didn't speak, but she could read the question in his face. "I am cursed," she continued. Eli froze. That word did not fit a ruler of galaxies. The Queen raised her hand, and violet energy flickered across her skin like sparks. The air shifted. The shadows moved. The light dimmed. "Anyone who stands close to me," she said, "dies." Her voice cracked, just a little. Eli's heart dropped. "What do you mean, dies? You killed them." "No," she shook her head slowly. "The curse kills them. My anger only triggers it faster." Eli stepped back, realizing he had been standing only a few feet away from the most dangerous being in the Empire. Queen Zerinthra stood up, and the energy around her grew brighter. "When I was young," she said, "I lost my heir. The curse awakened that day. Since then, every person who served me dies within hours. My court hides it from the galaxy. They call me cruel, so the truth stays buried." She stared at her own hands like she hated them. "I kill because it prevents something worse," she whispered. "The curse drains life from people slowly. A quick death is better than suffering." Eli could not speak. He could not breathe. Everything he believed about her shattered. But then the queen looked at him, confused. "Yet you," she said, stepping closer, "did not die. You stood beside me. You refused me. You touched things I touched. And still, you live." Eli's heart raced as she stopped only inches away. Her energy rose around him like heat waves. Nothing happened. No burning. No pain. No curse. Her eyes widened in shock. "You," she whispered, "are immune." Silence filled the chamber. For 20 years, no person had stood this close to her without dying. But a human janitor, weak, small, ordinary, stood in her shadow untouched. She reached out a trembling hand, stopping just before touching him. "If you stay alive," she said softly, "you may be the only one who can save my throne and me." Up in the hidden corridors above them, two nobles listened, horrified. "If the queen needs a human," one hissed, "then we cannot let him live." And that night, their plan to kill Eli began. After learning the truth of the queen's curse, Eli could no longer see her as a monster. She wasn't cruel. She was drowning. And every death in her palace was a reminder that she lived in a world she could never touch. For the first time in years, Queen Zerinthra had hope, a human janitor who could stand near her without dying. But hope always attracts danger. The nobles who listened from the shadows finally made their move. On the fifth night, alarms echoed through the ship. The lights turned red. The whole palace shook like something heavy hit its hull. Guards ran in panic. Servants hid under desks. Eli grabbed his cleaning drone and backed into a corner, unsure what was happening. Then the queen's advisor, a tall alien with silver armor, rushed toward him. "Human, they're coming for you." Before Eli could ask who, the wall exploded. Out stepped the two rebellious nobles, armed with glowing blades. "The human must die," one snarled. "If he lives, the queen's curse ends. And if the curse ends, her power returns." Eli finally understood. Their goal was not to save the throne. Their goal was to control it. He ran. The nobles swung their blades, slicing walls, melting metal. Eli rolled behind a pillar and grabbed the only thing he could use. His mop? Not a weapon. Not useful. But it was all he had. The rebels cornered him quickly. "You are just a janitor," one spat. "You cannot protect her." But Eli stood his ground. "I don't need to be a soldier," he said. "I just need to not run." Before the nobles could strike, violet lightning blasted between them. Queen Zerinthra entered, her energy crackling like a storm. "You dare attack what is mine," she roared. Her power filled the room, warping the air, shaking the floor. But Eli noticed something terrifying. The curse was reacting to her anger. Shadows twisted around her arms like hungry creatures. She was losing control. The nobles smirked. "If you fight us, your majesty, you will kill your human pet first." The queen froze. For once in her life, her power made her afraid. But Eli stepped forward before she could speak. "Don't hold back," he said. "I'm immune. Remember." Her eyes widened. "You'll die if I lose control." "No," he said firmly. "I won't." The nobles charged, and the queen unleashed everything. Thunder exploded from her hands. The curse flared like a screaming beast. The whole hall shook, metal cracked, light shattered. Eli stood in the middle of swirling death and felt nothing. No burning, no pain, no curse. The nobles, however, were thrown across the chamber and knocked unconscious. When the light faded, the queen collapsed to her knees, drained. Eli rushed to her side. "You survived," she whispered, staring at him like he was impossible. "You truly are immune." He helped her stand. No servant had ever touched her before, not without dying. But she didn't pull away. When they returned to the throne hall, the remaining nobles knelt, terrified. Queen Zerinthra raised her voice for all to hear. "From this day, the human Eli Ward stands under my personal protection. Anyone who threatens him threatens the throne." Eli looked up at her, the most feared ruler in the galaxy, and saw not a monster, but someone who finally wasn't alone. For the first time, the queen smiled without danger in her eyes. And across the royal ship, a new whisper spread. The janitor saved the queen. The galaxy would never forget it.